Hey there, real quick. Did you know that I'm hosting a free class next Monday? It's called The 3 Steps to Practice Freedom From Overwhelm to Home by 5. If you're a dentist mom who wishes she could leave work sooner and leave work at work, be a more present mom, avoid the headaches of running a practice, and just have less stress, this training is perfect for you. I'm going to be covering strategic leadership, how to have a strong team, and systems that are creating efficiency in your practice. Mindset and strategy, you do not want to miss it. It's an amazing training, all online, 8 p.m. Eastern, next Monday. I'm going to leave a link below to register. And if you can't make it for some reason, I'm going to give you a replay. If you register, I'm going to email it to you. By the way, these 3 pillars that I just told you, the leadership systems and how to manage your team, are the pillars of my No Stress DDS Mastermind, which is open right now for the next 2 weeks. I'm closing the doors on December 8th at midnight. So trying to get all my data right. So if you want more information, I'm going to leave some links below, but register for the training. It's free. It's going to be an amazing hour. Bring all your questions about the stickiest situations with your team, the stickiest situations with the husband, or the scheduling conflicts, all and everything I'm going to be covering in this training. All right, I hope to see you there. Monday, December 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, 3 steps to practice freedom. All right, my friends, let's dive into today's episode. And today's episode is going to be a 2-part series, the 2 common mistakes that I see women do in order to help their practices, specifically mom dentists. Okay, so what I see a lot of people do is whenever you start practice and you start running into issues of, typically it's managing the team or how to bring new patients, the first thing that we hear, if we go to Facebook groups or we just ask anybody, like, I'm struggling, like things seem to be hectic, I am staying until 9 p.m. at work, what do I do? The first thing that everybody tells you is, oh, you need systems, you need protocols. You're like, okay, it makes sense. Like, you're saying that I need to organize my practice, I need to have like protocols for how I do things, clinical and maybe non-clinical. Okay, that makes sense. So how do I do it? And some people do it themselves and try to put together things. And some practice owners decide to outsource it, right? And so what do? We go and we hire practice consultants. That's what practice consultants do. They come in and they consult on your practice for the best practices. In essence, what they do is they organize your schedule, they organize your clinical flow, they create job descriptions, they create clinical systems. They look specifically for your specialty and for your flow, the number of patients and everything specific for your practice. What is the most optimal and efficient way to run operations? Okay, so that's what they do. And practice owners make this mistake thinking that creating these systems and processes is what's going to solve their headaches as an owner. And I hate to break it down to you, but it's not. And I'll tell you why. Yes, having an organized practice is amazing. Think of it as like a house organizer, right? Somebody comes and organizes your closet or your entire house, right? So they leave and you have these like beautiful bins and everything is color coded, and there are, what do you call these, like little sticky adhesive thingies with like names and labeled. Everything just looks pristine and perfect and just like from the Instagram, right? Okay, great. That's what practice consultant does, right? Like they come in, they train your staff, they create systems, protocols, organize your schedule. And then what happens? The organizer leaves and you're left to live in this house and maintain it. Yeah. And a month from now, I bet your house is not going to look the same as it was when the organizer came. I think you're starting to get an idea where I'm leading with this. When consultants organize your practice, you are left to maintain all these systems and protocols. And what that means is you are left to hold your team accountable to follow these systems and protocols. And that's not your favorite part of the job, is it? That's why you outsource it in the first place. And I'll tell you why. It has something to do with us being women. It is the way we have been socialized to live and be. Okay, so stay with me. So I'm not saying that practice consultants are bad. I think they're great. It's a nice way if you have, I always say you either have time or money. So if you don't have the time or you don't want to spend the time, especially when as a mom, time is our most precious commodity. If you don't want to spend the time creating these things, it's great to outsource this and hire a practice consultant. And in my mastermind, I actually give you a template of a checklist, I should say, of how to hire a good practice consultant, what to look for if you want to use their service. But you need to keep in mind that you are the one who has to maintain all these systems. Now, I see two things happen for practice owners. Number one, they outsource this job of upkeep the practice. Typically, they outsource it to the manager. The office manager is typically more direct, more confident in confrontations and conversations with the team. And so you outsource this job to the practice manager. But you still have to manage the practice manager. That's one. Number two, sometimes she doesn't deliver the message the way you would like to your team. And so the team still goes back to you because you're the boss, you're signing their checks. And now you have two people knocking on your door, the manager and the assistant. You have to deal with both. Okay, so I see this issue happening. Or let's say this doesn't, not that this doesn't happen, but some expensive practice consultants actually keep your team accountable. They come back in and they coach them and they hold huddles. Like you probably pay them in continuity a lot of money, but they will do this job for you. And then you know what happens? Your production soars. You do amazing. And you're like, yay, oh my God, I've outsourced all of this. Everything's running smoothly and efficiently, and I don't have to deal with people. Like I have won the game of business. Actually, now you need more room to accommodate all these patients, to accommodate all this demand. So now you need to either add new chairs or you have to altogether move to another practice. And let me tell you something that adds a whole new layer of headache and stress and struggles. So what I'm saying is just outsourcing the problems day to day, hiccups and issues with operations and the staff is not going to solve all of your problems. You're going to have other problems. Okay, so what's the positive part, Jana? Okay, I'll tell you. So the reason why we will still have all these problems is because we need to learn as practice owners how to have these difficult conversations comfortably. We need to learn how to hold our team accountable. We need to know how to hire and fire really well. Like there's just no avoiding this role. And we as women have been a little bit set up, or a lot, by our socialization because we are socialized to be agreeable and likable and avoid confrontations and be nice to people and people please people and make sure everybody's happy. And so these two things, the way we're socialized to be as a woman and the qualities, the skills of a CEO that runs a successful business, they contradict. Okay? And that's where we struggle. And that's why systems and protocols are great, but they're not the sole solution for your stress running your practice. Okay? There's still another component that needs to be addressed. And so what typically happens is you hire practice consultants, they do these things, you start running into the issues that I just told you about. And then we women decide that it must be me. I need to be a better leader. And now we're going to leadership conferences. And now we're taking courses, or we're getting more education, maybe even business education. We're thinking, oh, I'm not a good uh, business person. I'm not a good leader. Let me ask you this question. How many leadership conferences are there for men? I'll wait. We've all heard leadership conference for women. Why are there no leadership conferences for men? Have you ever thought about this? So I'm an orthodontist, and according to data, 76% of orthodontists in the United States are female. 76% of us are women. So 24%, not even 24, 14% are men. Okay. If you're an orthodontist and you're listening to this, and I am certain this applies to any specialty, but let's just go with what I know. If you're an orthodontist and you're listening to this, and you go to AAO meeting, that's our annual American Association of Orthodontists meeting. We have semi-annual and semi-annual and annual. If you go to a meeting, the presenters, the clinical presenters, how many doctors are female and how many doctors are male? Exactly. The vast majority, like I would say 90%, 85% of speakers are men. So let's do the quick math here. So the 14% of orthodontists are teaching no, I was right, 24%. Sorry, my math is totally off. 24% of orthodontists are teaching the 76% of orthodontists. Like, it's mathematically impossible that men are better at orthodontics than we are. And yet, you don't see women in these conferences presenting clinical cases. Not as many. What is happening? Ladies, what is happening? And I'll tell you what is happening. That's why there are no leadership conferences for men, or if they even exist, they're not as popular or advertised. Because we are socialized to stay back. We're socialized to constrict. We're socialized to not be as confident and assertive as men are. We don't handle rejection and failure as well as men are. And I have a problem with that. That is the whole reason for No Stress DDS Mastermind. It is only mastermind for women, doctors, moms. There are no male dentists there. I love my men, but we as women are dealing with the socialization that is making it 10 times harder to run a practice. And there's another piece of it, is another part of socialization of doing a second shift at home, right? Because Thanksgiving is coming up. How many of you ladies will have a husband that's been cooking and cleaning all day? Not a ton. So we're breadwinners. We're making money in our practices, and then we're coming home and we just feel, even if your husband is a stay-at-home dad, I promise you feel this like pressure to have the clean a house, or the pressure to cook meals, even if you hate cooking and you're not even good at it. But you're like, but I'm a mom. I should be cooking. I should be motherly. We are so brainwashed to be a traditional wife, but now we've been given the power to also make money and have businesses. And so we have this power, but there's still these expectations. That's what creates this lack of work-life balance. That's what creates this extra stress. That is what no leadership conference or practice consultant will ever help you, or therapist will ever help you with. We have to change here the standards that we have for ourselves. I'm very passionate about this, because this is literally why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is really why I'm coaching, is because I thought it was just me. And then I started coaching many, close to 100 people now, all women, associates or practice owners, a lot of practice owners. And I've noticed that this is the theme. So here's what I want you to, circling back to the two main mistakes is, and the one I'm talking about today, is that practice consultants are not going to solve all your problems. I'm not pooping on practice consultants. I think they're great and they're amazing. And I'm going to have them as guest speakers in my mastermind, because I think they help us outsource these things. But I just want you to Be realistic and know what you're up against and why. And then there's nothing is wrong with you. It's not that you are not a good leader, and it's not that you don't know how to motivate and empower other people. Like, even these words are honestly ridiculous, because how can you make somebody do anything? We are sold this bill of goods that, well, if I say it with the right combination of words or the right attitude, then they're gonna love me and they're gonna follow me. It's not how it works, ladies. This is not how this is not how business works. It's not how employing and employees work. Okay. And I'll make a whole separate episode about this. And again, I'm going to teach this in my free training under the team excellence protocol. I'm going to show you my 3 steps to have an accountable team. But spoiler alert, it's not treating them as family and trying to accommodate them and have an open door policy all the time, and just being nice and trying to make everybody happy. There is a balance. Like, we're so socialized as women that like, if we are assertive, people will hate us, or being more direct is a bad thing. And there is a happy medium. You can be authentic, you can be direct, but also kind. And nobody teaches us that. And that's what I want to share the message and teach with other people, that we can be those people. And it's not something that it's just a script that can be taught. It's something that you change how you view yourself and your role as a woman, as a human, as a leader, and as a mom. Okay? All right, my friends, I hope this was helpful. I went a little bit deeper today, but I just want you to understand what you're up against, why this happens due to our socialization. And if you come to the training, I'm going to tell you more about ways to change that and what can we do together. All right, have the most beautiful Thanksgiving, and I cannot wait to see you. Bye, everybody.